We learned today just how scared the Morrison government is of the coronavirus and the very real threat now of a recession. And that is because the government hasn't simply given up on the surplus that it promised faithfully to finally give us this financial year. It is instead going to town on a spending spree that's more than twice as big as what it was hinting at only days ago, up to $20 billion to kickstart the economy and get business through this coronavirus. The package will be announced tomorrow, but Sky News political editor Andrew Clennell broke this story this afternoon.
Sky News can reveal that the stimulus package to be announced by the Prime Minister tomorrow is expected to be $15 to $20 billion. And it will involve one-off cash payments in the vicinity of $500 to pensioners, New Start recipients and small businesses.
And the government this morning said it will spend another $2.5 billion on a medical response. It's more than 100 fever clinics, for instance, an awareness campaign, help so that GPs can do audio and visual calls to patients at home so they don't have to go out and risk infecting people. And this tells us, I think, that the government believes this coronavirus is going to kill more people, particularly when we get into the flu season. And who knows, I mean, worst case, we could possibly even get like Italy, which the Morrison government today added to its list of countries from which tourists are banned. Italy now has more than 600 people dead, something that our own health minister was today not ruling out in Australia.
Well, in Italy, for example, more than 600 people have died already. It's not inevitable that we're heading to something like that. Is that the point?
What we've said is we're not immune, but we are not just well prepared, but as well prepared as any country in the world.
Right.
We'll have more cases, and that will continue to grow.
And in Victoria, Premier Dan Andrews warned of possible mass bans on people gathering at workplaces or sports grounds because a pandemic, he says, is coming.
But it is, as I said yesterday, not a matter of if, but a matter of when we move from that phase to a pandemic with all of those very, very disruptive actions.
And in Britain overnight we saw just how hard this virus is to stop even for health officials. Now Britain's health minister says she's come down with the virus. And that's after attending meetings with Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Now, our government doesn't think the coronavirus is quite as deadly as many people are fearing. It says it's probably around 10 times worse than the flu, which is still bad, although ironically, more than 80% of people who catch it get very light or even no symptoms. So it might actually, the death toll might actually be less than that. But the big problem is that our hospitals are normally pretty stretched already. Most run so lean that they've only got one, maybe 2 beds spare in intensive care, and they cannot handle a lot of people suddenly getting this coronavirus at once. And that's one reason for the government's big health spend today, which Labor says comes too late.
These will not be usual times and usual demands on our health system. And so I anticipate there will be times where that will come under great stress.
I think the Australian people and the opposition have been very patient and supportive of the government. But to be announcing the fever clinics today, which they flagged some weeks ago, and now saying it may be up to 6 weeks before some open, I don't think that's good enough.
Now, Labor will also be demanding that the Liberals say sorry for attacking Labor for years for blowing the budget a decade ago with a massive spend-a-thon, again to save us from recession, that time during the global financial crisis. But I think we should remember that history. The Liberals actually supported Labor's first stimulus package. It was the second huge one, $42 billion that they said was too much, and also appallingly delivered. Overpriced school halls, a home insulation program that was a complete disaster, actually killed installers. But whatever, once again, we have a government spending even more money we don't have because we kept spending it back when we didn't need to. And when we do finally get through this crisis, I hope we'll come out with lessons learned. And number one is this: save better in good times to spend in the bad, because as we see, that bad does come.